guys, so real quick, I just want to first off thank you for all of the content suggestions that I've been receiving either through YouTube or Facebook. I appreciate it all, so thank you. This one, I knew it was inevitable that I would be asked to make a video about this, and so the question was, do you have any boot camp stories? And I have kind of one. It's a little bit spicy, but we're just gonna get into it, okay? I think I'm gonna call this my Bootcamp Boyfriend, even though he wasn't my boyfriend, but it just sounds like a good title, right? So we'll go with it, but just come with me. So I'm in boot camp. I'm in Great Lakes, Illinois, and I was in a 900 company, which meant we were folks that were like selected because we had a skill. 900, you either sang in the choir, you played an instrument in the band, or you could handle a rifle and you could do a drill, you know, march, and kind of do all that stuff, right? So I was in the choir, and this guy, we'll call him Brandon, he was in the rifle part of it. So boot camp could be very much like high school, to where people kind of break off into little groups. And the one thing about Brandon that just stood out to me from like the get-go was that he was just like this super confident, super cool dude who could just easily go from one group to the next and just seamlessly flow into the conversation. And I was like, I felt like I was watching a master class on just how to be outgoing, because he was a master at doing that. And yeah, he totally fit in with our group, even though he wasn't a singer. Like, and again, it was just super easy. But after boot camp, so I ended up staying on the base for like an additional month or so for airman classes. So it's kind of like you get a little bit more freedom while you're going to these classes. And he also did the same thing. So now we're again in the same barracks, taking classes together. And we were also like in the same group, to where if we weren't standing duty, we both had the same days off, if that makes any sense. But one of the things that I would do, being that I was in the choir, is in the back of the barracks, you had like a bunch of bunk beds that just weren't being used. And whenever I was stressed out, I would just kind of go back there and just like meditate and hum to myself. And like I had one friend who was like, hey, can I just sit while you're humming? I said, cool. And it ended up being like, I would have like a group of guys and Brandon was one of those guys, and we would all just go back there and I would hum. And I don't know, crazy, but that's what would happen. Another thing, I just remember like the first time we went to, because like I said, we had more freedoms, and so we would go to the bowling alley and just to grab something to eat and on base. And I remember just we're in line waiting to order, and there was this song from Salt and Pepper called None of Your Business. And so that, you know, the TVs, and they're playing the video, and if you guys don't know, like some of the lyrics of the song is if I want to take a guy home with me tonight, it's none of your business. You know? If I want to take a guy home with me tonight, it's none of your business. Right, so, I love that song. So I'm just kind of like just jamming along and just mouthing the words, and I look over and he's jamming and he's mouthing the words, and we kind of just smile at each other. And obviously that song meant a lot to me for multiple reasons. And so I was kind of like, it's weird that he would know this song, because it just didn't seem like he'd be the type of person to listen to that kind of music. Anyway, so, but he did. And so there was this one weekend we were both off, so a group of us actually, we decided to go to Chicago. We spent the entire day downtown Chicago. We had a blast. I can remember at one point we went to Hard Rock, and there were a bunch of the Chicago Cub players at the Hard Rock, and somehow we were like in the middle of a group of players, and you know, of course we had on our uniforms, and so they were thanking us for our service, and just we were just talking with them, and just a great day that we had. On the way back to the base, we decided to get off the train at another stop where there was this dance club, and We were all underage, but we heard about this club where they would kind of like serve you alcohol, right? So we go to the club, we're drinking, and we're kind of, you know, we're right like where you have the bar and then like the dance floor, the beginning of the dance floor, we're there and just kind of dancing and drinking, right? And I'm kind of just doing my little two-step moves. At a certain point, they start playing this dance remix to, there was a song by Erasure called Au L'Amour. This song, I don't even know why, but from the first time that I heard this song, it just, every time I hear the song, even to this day, it just makes me happy. It makes me want to dance. And of course, there was this dance mix which I'd never heard before, and it was an amazing mix. So I hear this, I'm like, oh man, I knew what was gonna happen, because I couldn't just do my little two-step to that. And so I kind of just like start dancing, and I'm moving back and away from the rest of the group. And Brandon's kind of like, he's kind of joining me, and you know, we're both just moving away from everyone else. So we get towards the back of the dance floor, and there are these two girls there. They start talking to us. Now it's just like the four of us, just like kind of dancing and just talking. So one of the girls, she ends up like just grabbing me, and we start making out, right? The other girl grabs Brandon, and they start making out. We're just all, you know, again, laughing, having a good time. Then the two girls start making out with each other. It felt like I was in a movie, but they're making out with each other. Me and Brandon just kind of like, oh, wow. And then afterwards, they kind of motion for us. They kind of like pushing our backs towards each other. So we kind of look at each other and kind of like, so we start making out, right? And I have to say, at this point, we were like behind this big column that was in the middle of the dance floor. So like none of our friends could see us, but yeah, we just started making out. And the rest of the night, it was kind of like the four of us just hung out in that area in the back of the dance floor, and we kept all making out. Like it was just make out fest. So we go back to the barracks, or back to the base, and in my mind, I thought, okay, we were just drunk and just partying and hanging out. Like I really didn't think anything of it other than it was just a great night. So another thing is that I was also part of like the cleaning crew. So that meant like in the mornings when everyone would get up and just kind of do physical activity or go to school, whatever was on the agenda, I would stay behind and, you know, a group of us and just kind of clean the barracks. So he was also in the cleaning crew. And so I'm cleaning the showers, and right next or near the showers was the laundry room, and that's where it just kind of, it'd just be bags of laundry in this room where it gets sorted and folded and that kind of stuff, right? So he's doing the laundry room, I'm in the shower, and at one point he calls for me to come, you know, to go over to him. I go over in the laundry room. As soon as I walk in, he kind of like closes the door, and he like pins me against the wall, and we start making out, right? And we're like feeling each other and doing all this stuff, and then he kind of takes me and, you know, again, there was these big bags of just clothing. So he kind of puts, you know, not throws me, but he, you know, he kind of pushes me on the bag, and he's on top of me, and again, we're just making out and just filling each other up and doing all that kind of stuff. And I remember he says to me like, I don't know what I'm doing, like I've never done this before. And I wasn't like extremely experienced either, but I remember just saying like, do you want to do this? And he goes, yeah, I do. So I said, okay. I said, well, we'll figure this out. And we did stuff. I think that might have been the first time where like I actually did like the versatile thing to where we kind of took turns doing stuff. But yeah, we did a lot of stuff in that really fast, as you can imagine, after going through boot camp and all that stuff and that having no interaction. Yeah, we did a bunch of stuff, and that kind of became the thing, because again, every morning we're in the cleaning crew, we're doing stuff, and it would kind of like, oh, who wants to shower? It's like, oh, okay, I'll take it. And who wants to go? I'll take it. And that's kind of the way it was for the rest of the time that I was going to school. And it's crazy because after that, you know, we gave each other our phone numbers, and I have pictures of him, he has pictures of me, like that. We did that kind of stuff, and we just kind of went our own separate ways. And just a few years ago when I first got onto Facebook, I remember just like looking him up, and he's married and he has kids, so obviously that's his life took him in that direction. But yeah, that was my bootcamp boyfriend story. It was very, very hot. He was very hot. He still actually is hot. So, but yeah, it was weird, because what's weird about this is that I think I mentioned this in another video of mine, but when I was in boot camp, I had like the biggest fear that once I was in the showers with these naked guys, that something was gonna happen, you know, and it, you know, it never did. Like, I think it was fear. And then even at one point, I remember thinking to myself, like, am I gay? Because it got to the point where, like, I didn't even want to look at guys, because it was, this may not make sense, but there was just so much privates everywhere that I think I got immune to it, of having any type of reaction to it. And I remember thinking, like, maybe I'm not, because this is not, it's doing the opposite of what it would normally do. So that's kind of how I went through boot camp. So to go from that to now this situation to where me and this dude, like, and again, it just the way that it happened out of nowhere, that kind of just fueled it was like an off switch to my sexuality. And this moment just flipped it back on, and it's been on ever since. So yeah, so it's one of those moments where I'll never ever forget it. And again, I think he's doing well. I haven't reached out to him because I don't know if it would be weird for him, but yeah, that's my boot camp story. I hope you guys liked it. Please like, subscribe, and more importantly, comment if any of you have similar stories. Of course, I'd love to hear it.